Hello everybody, this is Make It Better, and today we're doing What Deku Was a Swordsman Part 2. Last time we left off was Mirio and Zuko was fighting each other after they were done cleaning the beach. They were fighting each other for about 2 months, and at that time they were actually getting used to each other's fighting styles. And Mirio is learning that Zuko's fighting is very, and his techniques are very strong. Sorry. And Zuko sees how Mirio doesn't have much technique, but actually is focusing on every fist, every block, every kick um, of his movements. But sadly, as they were paying attention to everything they were doing, it was technically a stare down. They were still fighting each other, but it lasted 2 hours in that one day. So All Might came in after he already took a break and set the two down and told them that they're both doing very well with training and everything, but it seems like you guys are getting way too used to each other. And they both nod. Yeah. So All Might gives them this. Okay, you two. Clearly, you are way used to each other. So, and you're not gonna improve like this. I'll train you, Muriel, like how I planned to from the very beginning, and you, uh, Deku, young Midoriya, you can go off and train for yourself. Is that alright with you? Zuko looks at him and said, Am I still alright? Am I still able to use my weapons in this beach whenever, or you have to be here? All Might said, Young man, when I'm here. I don't think anyone else will allow it. Zuko nodded and said, Okay. And he pretty much leaves, saying bye to both of them and going off on his own. Muriel and All Might is now talking about the quirk. And Muriel ate the quirk and started training with All Might on how to controlling it. Moving on to a certain young lady. Yes. She was going out with her boyfriend at this time, and they were just finished watching a movie. It was very graphic. She didn't really like it, but he was forcing her to watch it with him. This was very unusual, but she went along with it, saying it was no problem. And sadly, she was actually wearing some stuff nice, some nice clothes, because he told her that they were going somewhere nice, but she never heard what where. So the movie was over, and then they were leaving. At this point, they were holding each other's hands, but the guy was actually pulling her closer and closer, where he wanted to wrap his arms around her shoulders, kind of like doing a side hug. She was very uncomfortable since this is technically their third date and never made anything official. But the guy was very insistent on this and uh, was very upfront with her, which she technically liked. As they were leaving the movies, finally, out of the building, she asked, Where else are we going? You said you were, and we were going somewhere nice. And he said, Yeah, this restaurant. And it's a burger joint. It's not like a McDonald's or a Burger King. It was more of a uh, Friday, one of those Friday stores, restaurants, and they're mostly famous for their burgers. It was somewhat fancy, but not really fancy enough where she dressed up as she did. And they took us, were waiting and waiting, and after an hour and a half of waiting, they were finally given the table. She's right now thinking in her head, why did she agree to this? Her father pretty much forced her to go out with this young man, seeing how he's very famous, have a lot of connections, and so she had to go along with this. She's slowly but surely not liking this one. After they were eating and finished their food and talking, he was pretty much over talking about. No, he was over talking on her. When she was about to say something, he interrupted, saying, "Oh, that reminds me." And this what happened with my friend back in America. And she pretty much stopped in the middle of it and listening very politely. A few minutes have passed, and they were given a check. The waiter actually was giving it to the man, and he said, "Oh, I actually paid for the movies, so I think it's even a trade here for you to pay." And the girl, very annoyed because it costs almost 3 times more here than over in the movies. And he was eating a lot more food than anybody should be. The guy pretty much ate 3 courses of food for himself, while the girl, she just ate a burger. Now this is a crappy date, if I can say so myself. But she paid, pretty much paying with almost all of her money that she brought with her, since she was told not to bring her purse. So they actually left the restaurant. The guy very full but very sleepy as well, and very happy about the day. The girl not really that happy. Time skipped them in front of her house. Well, technically her gate. Eh, whatever. Yeah, I'll do it. Right now, she's getting out her keys and unlocking the gate and pretty much trying to say bye. But the guy grabbed her wrist and said, "Hold on, hold on. We still have more time." And she said, "For what? More time for what? We had our date and I'm ready to go to sleep. And good night." As she was walking, trying to leave, he grabbed her a little tighter and pulled her back in and giving her a fourth hug and said, "Wait, wait. How about we just stay out here a little longer?" Very uncomfortable and noticed that he's grabbing her waist almost even lower. And she's trying to pull it, um, get out of the hug, but she can't really do anything. She's very uncomfortable and she's about to use her quirk. Now let's move on to Zuko's point of view. He was walking in this area since he didn't really have time to. He was mostly focusing on training. So he usually just get off of the train and go straight to the beach. But this time he decided to walk around and enjoy the scenery since it seems like it's more maintain area. As he was going through um, some houses, seeing how big they are, and thinking, will he ever live something this big? Nah, too much. And these are usually, he's been living in a one-story house, and two-story seems like it's way too much. But he's walking towards a certain area, and he sees this scene of a guy grabbing onto a girl. At first, he was going to walk away and ignore it, but to see how the girl is acting and how the guy is acting, he sees it's not two-sided, it's only one-sided, and the girl is very, very uncomfortable. So he's walking up to them quietly, and no one, they don't notice it. Back up with to the little couple. The guy is pretty much saying, "Come on, baby. Sorry, come on, baby. Just a kiss, and I'll let you go." And she's really trying not to, and he's like leaning in, uh, moving his face closer and closer to her, almost inches close to her. She's pretty much closing her eyes and trying to move her head, and the guy feels a hand on his shoulder, and he's saying, "Dude, do you see? Do you not see what is going on here?" And Deku said, "Well, yes, I do. I see clearly." And Zuko grabbed his shoulder, pinches a certain way where it messed with his nerves, where he can twitch his right arm, and it pretty much got away from the girl. I almost say her name, and she pushed him away with only one with the rest of her arm, and getting leaning next to her door. I'm not even close to the train. And she said back to Zuko and said, "Sir, by the looks of it, seems like you were forcing yourself on her." And the guy said, "Kid, what are you talking about? We're just on a date." And Zuko said, "Mm-hmm, yeah. Young lady, I believe you're allowed to go. I'll handle this." She pretty much nods, saying thank you, and pretty much almost ran into the doors. And close it, lock it, and that's it. Him and the guy, Zuko pretty much said, "So, we can do this the easy way or the hard way." The guy is saying, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who you're messing with? If you even lay a finger on me, you will pay." Zuko said this. "Ah, you're one of those. Fine." And he gripped his shoulder even tighter, where it's almost. And the guy's like wincing in pain to a point where he's about to yell. And Zuko said, "Oh, don't you know? If I squeeze just a little harder, I can actually break your shoulder. And then what will happen to you?" And the guy said, "Kid, you're really pissing me off." And Zuko said, "Ah, I'm pissing you off? You pissed me off when you were trying to force yourself on her." And the guy used his quirk. I'll say it's hmm, a myth. No, which one? Something hero-like, but also villain-like. His arms became more sharp. It'd be like a blade. This just me. No, his hair over his body will just turn into blades, razor sharp blades where they're almost like needles or um, shots, like those that kind of sharpness. And he told him, "You better let go, or I use my quirk on you." And Zuko said, "Ah," because right now Zuko's very pissed, but he doesn't want to show much. And said, "Okay." And Zuko, with his other hand, pulled out a small dagger and saying, "I say this is big enough." And the guy said, "Big enough for what?" And Zuko pretty much, with a swift movement, this guy had a full head of hair about 5 inches long all around. And Zuko pretty much swiped once with the guy. And the guy, what? Why did? And he's thinking, why did it feel colder? And he's touching his head with his other arm, and he feels nothing. He gone pale by this. If you guys do not know, Zuko, with one swipe of his blade, it's pretty much a knife. I say 5 inch. He swiped it and fast enough and swift enough where he made the guy completely bald, almost shiny. And the guy is so pale at this point, and his hair was pretty much covering up all of his ugly inside. Yeah. And the guy said, so let's pretend this never happened, and he's like pointing at his own shoulder and saying, "Can you let me go?" And Zuko said, "Yeah, I guess you can see the difference between us." And the guy said, and he's nodding his head up and down, kind of quickly, saying, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, kid, you're very strong. You can become a very good hero." And Zuko slowly but surely let go, where his hand is completely off, and the guy bolted. He's running for sure, far, far away from Zuko. And Zuko pretty much looked at his hand and like rubbing it against his pants because it was some reason sweaty, and it feels so disgusting to him. And he put his blade back into his pocket. He kind of like looked around, see if there was anybody else where he can explain. Nobody. And as he looks back to the house that the girl ran into, he see her in her room and in the second story, and she's watching him. Not in a creepy way, just very amazed that he, with a blink of an eye, that's her point of view, with a blink of her eye, he pretty much cut off all of his hair. Yeah, terrifying. I'm so happy he came along. I wonder. And she said, no, never mind. And closed her curtains. Zuko, she was about to, and she kind of like opened it up just a bit more, just to watch Zuko walk away. And as Zuko, he felt like he was being watched. So he turned around, without even looking, just bowed down. And He actually did a sign language without using his mouth, saying "You're welcome," and walked off into the moonlight. Now, yeah, I have time. Okay, here we go. The next day comes. Zuko is very bored. He doesn't really know what to do since this time is actually his day, his summer off. I'll say it's because it's 3 months. I'll just get around there. Zuko asks his parents to send him a certain book, the one he thought of that would help him with his flying style. They do send it in 1 day shipping that is fast. And when Zuko opened up his package, he started reading it and practicing this certain flying style. I'll put the video in the next on the right next to this. It's going to be the pigs, the warhog flying style. Don't remember his name. The one that has two swords and messed up daggers on the back of them. That guy with almost a girlish facial features. So Zuko, for the rest of the 3 months, he'll be learning how to fight like that. Learning that he's the the handwriting is very messed up, but the next page and the next is slowly becoming better. And Zuko's gonna learn how to fight like him. Extremely wild and impossible to fight against. After 2 months of it, he actually is waking up. Yes, 2 months. He has called All Might and Muriel saying that he found something better, so he will not be going to the beach anymore. They both said, okay, see you at UA. What Zuko's doing right now is fighting like how the guy is fighting, but also stretching out all of his limbs to a point where places where they don't reach usually, to a point where he's actually able to move, bend backwards, all the way to his back, under his legs, kind of like on in the show, and he's kind of like trying to smile, but it really does hurt when he try breathing a little bit more. So he go back up and think, nice, I was able to do that. But dang, on the book it shows that he didn't struggle on that part at all. So he's like popping all the joints that felt weird when he moved like that. And then he's doing some splits, acrobatics, and now searching up on a website to see if there's any area where he can stretch and work on certain muscle groups that doesn't really happen, doesn't really, nobody really focus on. And he found a gymnast, acrobatics, yeah, like that. So he's gonna be very flexible, extremely strong, can use swords. Yeah, full package, I guess. And his physique will be extremely toned, but not able to tell. He wear even tight clothes, you could not tell until he takes off his clothes, which I guess that's fan service, but that's only for when I want it to be. Hmm. Should I do it? Yeah, I'll do it. End of the 10 months has came, and it's time for the entrance exam. Zuko study up on the history, math, science, all that stuff. and walking into the door. Very excited, but very in a cool, calm state. What's this 18-wheeler? Dang. Sorry about that. I'm parked in a certain area where no 18-wheelers are allowed to be at. And somehow he's here without his trailer. Okay, now I get it. But yeah, sorry about that. They are very loud, and usually they do honk their horns on random occasion to make sure no one is in front of them or behind them. And that noise is very annoying. But anyway, he's walking through the gates and very interested, seeing how big the school is compared to his country school, where it's just like one classroom of all different ages and yeah, pretty much in the room doing the same lessons in different groups. There were about like 5 kids in his age range. Sorry, sorry about that. But as he's walking in, he's like looking around and then decides to put on his headsets. I do this just to because I do it almost every time, and I don't like hearing people. But he does breathe in through his nose and like smell the area before he can get used to it. So he's about no, I'll like, wait. So he's inside and he's given was given let's skip through it. He was given the test. Everybody's doing their test. And Zuko's finished it pretty much in average. He's going to have the same scoring in canon for his test. Sorry about that. But he finished it, put it up, and goes to the next area. And he's waiting and waiting. That little scene of um, Ida pretty much standing up and interrupting President Mike does happen, but he does not point at Zuko for muttering. Because this one, he does not mutter. He thinks inside his head more. But he is up in the front of the gates on whatever gate he was on. I think B, but not sure. And he's pretty much stretching with a tank top and pants. And he actually has his swords. But no, I'm not doing that. I'm not. I was thinking. My idea was at first I thought it would be more convincing of like one of the teachers taking his swords and saying that he's not allowed to use weapons and still be able to fight. But this way would be better. He's the first one there, but he's actually put down his swords right against the wall. Uh, took off his kimono because he wears that almost everywhere because it was a gift from his grandmother, so he's wearing it everywhere. And he put it right on top of his swords, so it kind of looked like the sweater is or the kimono is standing on itself by itself. And he's like right next to it and stretching, and more people are coming in, mostly the guys. And then when the girls came in, they see the air scanning in the room. A few of them spots Zuko Midoriya stretching very well. By this I mean he's actually putting one leg down and his right leg straight up, a standing splits. Which some of the guys are like, what the heck? What is his quirk? But Zuko's just doing this because he needs to stretch. It's dangerous if he fights not know not stretching because you can't pull something if you don't stretch. But he knows it's getting close to that time, and President Mike is actually telling everybody all the rules at this point. Zuko actually put away his headsets, put it in his pocket in his kimono, and actually was putting on his stuff, putting his swords on, and then his kimono. At this point, Ida saw that Zuko is holding weapons, so he ran, pretty much jaywalking all the way to Zuko and saying, "You're not," with his hand moving up and down a lot, chopping the air, saying, "You are not allowed to use weapons during this uh, entrance exam." And he's pretty much saying other rules about this, and saying that you're not allowed to have these weapons at all, no matter what other condition you are in. And Zuko looked at him and said, "Do you know who I am?" And sorry, I was just kind of chuckling about that part. But people around him are gonna say, "Oh, he's one of those types," and more of them are listening, seeing what he's gonna say because they're very curious. And Ida said, "No, I do not know who you are. Please explain." And Zuko said, "So you ran towards me," and he's doing this with fingers, pulling up one finger and then the next. "You ran towards me, assumed the worst, saying that I cannot have my swords, and you do not know who I am." Correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems more like profiling and judging. And I believe this was a hero school. You know, where heroes become the best people out there. Zuko is just being very sassy towards Ida. And Ida said, mm, "Yes, you're right about this, but who are you?" And Zuko said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I am a student trying to become a hero with no quirk." And no quirk spread quickly around the area. And they're now talking to each other, whispering. And one of them said, "Quirk? No quirk, then he's worthless, right?" And then the other guy said, "But is that why he has those swords?" And Zuko said, "Yes, that's the reason why I have these swords. To protect myself and defeat villains. But honestly, most of you seem weak. Too weak to handle this." And Brother Might pretty much came in and said, "Alright, in three, everybody get ready." Zuko still standing there with his arm crossed and waiting for everybody to leave. And Brother Might saying, "Three, two, one, go!" And the doors open and they're going. Everybody looking back at Zuko, not doing anything. Ida at first was shocked. When he heard it go, he was running, pretty much skipping a few gears all the way to third gear. And he looking back and seeing that kid that not he just hmm, yeah, I have no idea what he just did. Pissed him off, I guess. And Ida is thinking that this kid is not gonna be able to get in. He's quickly how he's gonna get in, and it's all going in his head. Zuko pulled out one sword. It turned yellow. Well, clicked just clicked enough where he can actually pull it out smoothly. It was a yellow color, yellow shade, and he did a stance. He looks up, see all the robots, and said, "I don't remember. Thunder speed, thunderclap, thunder blast." Yeah, I really don't know. I know it had thunder something. So he did say thunder slash. Sorry, I just don't know. So he said that, and people from the back and people in the front hear a sound, the sound barrier broken. You make a big boom. And the teachers that are watching this, they were curious at the kid that was staying behind, and all might see Zuko, and he's very only focusing on Zuko, seeing what he will do. And he's getting excited because he never really see Zuko use that technique at the very beginning. He only saw it on the aftermath. And some of the teachers are seeing this. Zuko actually pull out his sword and pulling his sword out just a bit. And when they heard a big sonic boom, they only saw a yellow flash going toward each robot that was in his way, cutting them down swiftly and clean. And that one move alone gave him 25 points. And they were all just one pointer robots. So he technically killed, just with one move, killed 25 robots. Luke, they're pointing down the numbers, and Nezu said, All Might, is this who you were talking about? All Might said, and pretty much is dying and looking right back at Zuko, seeing what else he can do. Zuko finally getting used to the smell of the robots and knows there's three more up ahead, but there's five in an alley, and it looked like they're fighting against a certain person, and it looked like so Zuko, and with his sword turning blue, yeah, turning blue, and now doing a wave a circ wave a wave slash. I need to write down all their moves. Dang. It'd be better that way than this. But it's like I'll just call it. It'll be called a whirlpool. Pretty much one slash one way and then back three times. So one, two, three. And it was kind of like a zigzag, but it looked like a tsunami was coming by, and it's going over each robot. And the last one, where it's about to attack this kid, Zuko came around front, right behind it, slashed right down in the middle, cutting its head in two. And the kid that was about to finish it off saw the robot just fall apart in two. The guy said, "Whoa, wait, what?" And he looked around and see all the other robots are gone. And Zuko said, "Hey, sorry about that, but it seems like you need help. All right, good luck on the test." And he ran off. By this, he's running off so fast, up to five, mm, no, 2% of one for all, but he doesn't have it. That's how fast he's going. And he's able to somewhat get on the walls enough, go high enough where he can slash down on the bigger robots and not hurt himself. So he's doing kind of like a spinning, doing a flip, and he's doing a front flip, and the second front flip, he have his sword and slashing down to a three-pointer robot. And some of the teachers are mostly focusing on Zuko Midoriya, on how his swordplay is doing very well with all of this, and they're very interested on what he's doing. And seeing that Zuko's actually calling out on certain moves with these certain swings. And All Might said, "Yes, yes, young man, show the world how powerful you truly are." And he's saying this out loud with his fist right up his hand, um, up of his head. Nezu said, "Okay, okay, since he's being very close to the center, I guess it's time to." And he pressed the button. And Zuko feels vibration, feeling the air have changed, the wind direction going towards him instead of going away from him. And then he hear a clash, and then another. People running away. And he looks up and see the 0 pointer. Zuko said, um, okay. And he was turning around to pretty much run because he doesn't know if he can take that down or not. But he hears a scream, and he looks towards a scream and see a girl crushed, it's Uraka, crushed by some rubble. And she's stuck, and she's trying to get out, but she can't. So she's screaming for help as she's trying to get out. Zuko said, "Oh, dang. Here we go again." But without taking out his sword, he did Thunder Slash. And using the speed to get straight towards her without any delays. So he got there even faster, almost 10% of the All Might speed. Just know that is fast. 5% was enough to beat Ida in his top gear, and 8% is pretty much faster than Ida's cerebral burst. And these were 3 blocks away. Zuko's right in front of the girl, and with a single slash with his swords, cut the boulder in half where it can't fall on each side. Zuko moved one and then the other and picked up the girl, and try to move her over, but she's limping and see that she's injured. So he picked her up in bridal style and ran, pretty much. As he's running, the robot foot is really big. It's almost about to crush him, about 2 feet away, 1 foot away. And he pretty much asked the girl to move her head closer to his chest. And she doesn't know what to do, so she does. And Zuko pretty much, she hears this. And Zuko bolted, using as much speed as he can, 15%, to get out of that area, and he just appeared right in front of Ida. Ida, with a shocked look, didn't even see Zuko until just a second, and he was about to say something, but Zuko put her down and asked the blue-haired kid to watch her and take her to a recovery girl or anybody that can heal her leg. And he turned around, pulled out one sword, it's blue, and said, "Okay, here we go." He looks around, see any way he can do it, and said, well, F it. He his blade turned yellow at first during the thunder speed to be right in front of the robot. Then he jumped on every area that he could on the robot's body to the point where he's actually on top of it, and he did a spinning two front flip slash, cutting the robot's head in half, where it pretty much made it obsolete. Error. So the robot pretty much can't move because its head was technically cut off and he can't really see where it's going. Zuko's still kind of falling, but he's looking around and see if he can actually jump to a certain area. So he kind of move his body angle just a bit where he can tap and do a single tap on a hand where he can move to another and do a kind of like a zigzag, free falling of sorts. As he gets down, he made a little crater, but not big enough. And he pretty much kneeled down on his knees and saying, and he again himself focused, put down his swords, and started running. As he was about to take one step to run, he hears a buzzer saying, and Brother Mike saying, "Well, that is all for today, folks. Now leave the exam test, leave the area." And I'll end it at this point. I will do another one, of course. And yeah, hope you guys like it. Bye.